I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought.
I can tell you that 7 years after Freddie Gray, that was 2015, spring, April, May. This is 2022. Communities like Sandtown, all we saw then and now in terms of investment was a renovated Western District Police Station and a new funeral home. That's what West Baltimore got. A new police station and a new funeral home. What kind of optics are they? Was Freddie Gray any different than 1968 Baltimore riots? Dr. King's passing, killing, murder? This is the same?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think, well, first of all, people who are being violent and burning, that's, all that's the same. But the point is what was the cause and what were they attempting to register?
I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns. They deserve an ounce. It's got next. And I'll be quiet. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking
Good morning. First name's Donnie, last name's Love, and entered the winning for the long haul. Baby, it's Friday. We're going to go out to Baltimore County and check with Danny Blount. Good morning, Danny. How are you?
Good morning, Donnie. How you doing? I'm in the winning with you, brother.
Always a pleasure, man.
Right
How was your week?
Great, man. Great. We had a great week. Of course, yesterday we had our radio show, Bishop Barry Chapman and I, along with George White and Linda Dorsey Walker on our two-way talk radio show. I don't know if you tuned in yet, Donnie, but the invitation is always open to you. So it was a great show yesterday. We talked about a plethora of things that are going on in the state.
What was the hottest thing you talked about?
Oh, one of the hottest things that we talked about yesterday was, of course, the charges that were dropped for the correctional officers. Charges were filed against by Marilyn Mosley and how they dismissed the charges and things of that nature. That was one of the high things that we talked about. We also talked about
hold up. Did you think the charges should have been dropped against the correctional officers?
For what I understand, I don't think so. I believe that the prosecutors that was on it, the two prosecutors who left the office, who were dealing with the case, I think it was just a lot of stuff going on. It was, it just wasn't. For some reason, it seemed like it was falling apart, as it went on. So, from what I understand, that. I don't know completely everything about it, Donna. You probably know more than I, with that look on your face. But what I'm saying is that if charges were put out there with the Attorney General, then it should have been some substance there for it to go to that level. So why it fell apart, why it was dropped,
And so you're speaking to the broader issue, help me out, of correctional officers doing the right thing?
Well, from what I understand, I only go by what I read about what the charges were brought against, saying that they were in the prison system doing things, bullying inmates and doing all kinds of different things like that. If that's true, then those charges should have been.
Question: were these black correctional officers?
No, I don't think they were all black. I think they were white officers as well.
And then my question is, what prison were they working at?
Not certainly sure where it was. Help me with that.
Okay. I just have talked to a lot of people over the years, and those incarcerated are not very fond of Hagerstown because that's in a non-black area. And the correctional officers tend not to be black, and there's often some racial tension.
It's always the case.
If it's here in the city, then those guards are quite often
mostly black.
Black.
Correct.
And if somebody got hemmed up historically, now I don't know about this case, historically, there's always the challenge, the question of whether or not guards are bringing in paraphernalia.
Yeah, correct. Yes, it's always been an issue with inmates in facilities that are ran by white officers that have always been a.
Hey, you remember Beretta?
But Beretta as a TV show, Beretta?
Robert Blake.
Yes, I do. Of course.
See, you old enough to know. What's the line of the song that every black boy paid attention to?
I don't know why I'm saying the Eye of the Sparrow. Something. It was something with his show. I know he had the parakeet on his shoulder.
Don't do the crime
if you can't do the time.
Basic math.
Hey, look,
don't
Donnie.
Do the time if you can't do the time. Don't do it. And keep your eye.
Sparrow. That's right. That's right. That was a really a show that had a message in it, and a lot of people sleep on messages and sitcoms.
He said, "Don't do the crime if you can't do the time," and right there, say can't do the time. In my mind, going to prison is just not on the agenda.
Not at all. Not at all. What our parents used to tell us: don't write a check that your ass can't cash. Wolf tickets. Remember all that stuff?
Speaking of which, I was in your hometown Friday.
Oh my.
We were up in Harlem. We had a Black Wall Street ceremony. And you may not know this, but one of our captains up there is Mr. Victor Pate.
Okay.
And he's formerly incarcerated person. Since then, he's been working with people behind the walls. He's very adamant about the language used to discuss this demographic. And I'm always slipping, but he's catching me and he's helping me to tighten up my verbiage when it comes to discussing this demographic. But we honored some people who work in the prison system, people who work behind the walls, people who work with people coming home, including Brother Tyrell Muhammad. And he asked me about a local cat here in Baltimore, Mr. Leslie Vass, Takesha Newton. And she's with the Families for Justice entity in New York City. But every time we go to New York and do a Black Wall Street, that is a specific group that we make sure we acknowledge, those who work with returning citizens.
Which is important, actually, I know that in Baltimore County, Crystal Francis, she used to be the chair of the Baltimore County Central Committee, which I'm an elected member of. She does a lot of great work in that, returning, citizens, inmates to the civilian world or back into the mainstream. And it's really important because those folks get lost there in the subculture, and they got to figure out how to adapt themselves when they come back out here in the streets. So,
but there's
important
also
work, very important work.
There's also how they some of the things that they deal with. So we've done several shows on this topic. One topic has been since the pandemic, and the lady's name was Miss Levi. People were released, but then they were reincarcerated. And she says she was reincarcerated. You won't even believe what I'm about to tell you, because she was new to the smartphone. And she didn't know how to work it to sign in to say where she was. There's accountability factor, but because of the new technology, she found herself, along with others, reincarcerated in the pandemic. And so what I'm getting to is again, Beretta, don't do the crime, can't do the time.
100%.
But it's so much deeper than just getting locked up. Because in order to come home, you have to have a place, an address, you have to have a support system. And so if you're talking about a cat who's going, male or female, going from, they used to hustle, for instance. They used to sell whatever, drugs. Now they've been, incarcerated and they're ready to come home. There's so many things over a person's head, parole and probation. Some people on the box and they got to pay money. Now, my big question is, where they going to get the money from? You give them, and I mean, this ain't like $20, $50. Some of these people are paying hundreds of dollars to stay home.
That's right.
Takesha Newton brought up something else. It's called docs. We have to fly upstairs. But she talked about some of the policies that are pushed on people behind the walls, like their mother bringing them food. You would not believe what people have to go through because the food, don't do the crime, can't do the time. I've heard returning citizens talk about the food is so bad, it's slop. So your family wants to bring you food, but there's all kinds. What I'm saying is they tax you for everything. The family want to bring you food some kind of way, there's a tax. If you want to use the phone, because so many of our children are disconnected from their fathers. We are all aware of the pervasive fatherlessness in our community. The cost of a phone call can sometimes just, we talking about one or two of them a week. It's just ridiculous. And so our young people who throw bricks at the penitentiary, you're not thinking about these things while you're out there on the corner. When you're out there on the corner, it's about who's the baddest, who did the worst. But that ain't where you want to be, son.
No, not at all.
Young lady, that's not where you want to be. I don't know who made it attractive to you, but that ain't where you want to be, cuz.
Not at all. My cousins and coming from New York, as you mentioned, cousins, leader of gangs, Black Spades, and going around there, doing their stuff, got the three-strike thing, and still in prison. 40 years. Cousin still in prison up to 40 years. He did some bad things. The last thing he did was a minor thing, but it still was the third thing. And he's still in jail. Still in jail. 40 years in jail.
The movement needs you. The movement needs you, brothers and sisters behind the walls. The movement, our people, we need you. Your children need you. Bump the movement. How about the movement of the family, the nuclear family? The lawlessness we see in these streets is a direct byproduct of fatherlessness.
Correct. Without question, Donnie.
So many stories of people with daddy issues.
Mm-hmm. That's right. When you really get to one of those inmates who become very candid and very open about their emotions and the loneliness and the feeling of being just left all alone and the father's not being around and how it caused them to make decisions and find themselves in prison. That story is just rampant all through the prison system. So, we just want to just try to continue to teach these young people that prison is not where you want to be.
I tell you, and I don't wish it on nobody, but I do wish it on Donald Trump. If somebody don't G-check Slim right away, he's going to cause even more division in this country, more insurrection in this country, more racial animosity.
Look, Adam Schiff just put a news brief out about Liz Cheney, who we know she's just like her daddy, but she is one who did speak up about the insurrection and some other things. She wrote it for him.
Who was her daddy?
Dick Cheney.
So Dick
Vice
Cheney's
Dick
daughter.
Cheney. Yeah, Dick Cheney's daughter, Liz Cheney.
Out there in Wyoming.
She lost her re-election bid just the other day.
Danny. Danny, are there any black people in Wyoming? I mean, that just don't sound like a black stronghold.
It's not. It was the Republicans that did her in. Of course, white folks did her in who didn't like the fact that she, went against Donald. And the guy who won was someone who was backed by Donald Trump. 8 out of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump will not be returning to Congress. That's heavy.
Why is it heavy? You're saying that he has too much power?
Well, he has 50% of the voting power. If you look at it, what's that?
You know what? He's a bully. You know what he need? To be punched in his mouth.
That's right.
That's all he need. Punch him right in his mouth.
Let's just bank him. Don.
No, I wouldn't dare be a part of a bank on him. I'd punch him right.
One-on-one.
No, head up.
Right.
Punch him right in his fat lip.
That's right. And he's a bully.
He's a bully.
I mean, the things he did in New York.
Get that little 13-year-old girl that won the Nobel Peace Prize. She was working to save the environment. You remember the little girl from Norway, Sweden, somewhere? He got in a back and forth with a 13-year-old girl. Dude, you the leader of the free world. What are you doing, dumb?
He's just being himself. That's who he is.
He reminded me of the zoo. Hey, dumb. What's up today, dumb?
Yeah, how about that? I tell you, man, it's a lot of stuff going on here, and I hope that the FBI and all the things that they put together to get this guy locked up or held accountable or filed charges against him sticks.
So look, the judge came out with a ruling yesterday that he's gonna allow some of the testimony. Much of it will be redacted. So the prosecutors have to now prove. Do you think this judge is paid or bought, or he's just following the Constitution?
Well, it's always pressure because they've already made a decision on what they were going to do. Something came about to make them, of course, the pressure. They got pressure on him to.
So it's one of two things. It's either money or they got dirt on them.
Or both. Yeah. So it's always something. And Donald Trump, he's got money, he's got connection, he's got power. So he's reaching everybody who has a hand in his demise. So yeah, he's got working on his behalf.
God has power. Hey, look, he don't make no sun come up. He don't make no moon move. He ain't moving no stars. He's just a man.
but he is just a man. But we have allowed him to do the things that he has
No,
done.
they have allowed him. Because
Well,
had he come through North Avenue, I guarantee somebody would have whipped his ass.
you got that right. And
No, I
Lord
ain't
knows,
allowed nothing. They allowed it. And
well,
they need to G-check their boy.
let me tell you something. You know, talking about checking folks, all of our elected officials is in Ocean City. Ocean City having a big,
Hold up. This is the weekend for that?
yeah, it's the weekend. It's the whole week. They've been there since Wednesday. Since Wednesday, they
What's
down
it
there.
called?
It's called the MACO. The MACO. It's the Maryland Association for Counties annual summer conference. Kicked off on Wednesday in Ocean City.
And they ain't invite me down. They down
They
there
ain't
eating them
invite
big old crabs.
Oh man, gosh, listen to me, man. They got some big stuff going on there. They at the Powell Center, and the school of free reception sponsored by political leaders, lobbying firms, and special entry groups. There are at least 7 candidates and political committee fundraisers scheduled to coincide with the convention. And you got all the big names: Bill Ferguson, Johnny O, Barry Glassman. You've got Adrian Jones, you got Wes Moore. I mean, all these are as they call hospitality rooms that they want to have. It's
So speaking of Baltimore County, if West wins the general election, what does that mean for county politics?
well,
Let's start with Johnny O. That means he won't be county executive in 4 years.
well, he can't. Anyway, this is it for him.
Right, he got one more term, but in 4 years, if West, and these are all hypotheticals, if West wins in November, it's almost a given he's got 8 years. Now, 4 years from now, Johnny O, Angela also Brooks, they got to be kicking themselves in the head.
Yeah, because they didn't support him. I don't know if she did or not, but I know that Johnny didn't support him.
Angela also Brooks. No. What I mean is, before Westmore came on the scene, both Angela also Brooks and Johnny O would be considering governor.
Absolutely. That's right. But he knocked them out the park. So, like I said, Johnny O's got some issues because he did not support, didn't support West.
And he came out last minute
to support Perez.
So, what would, I was so disappointed with Johnny. I was there when he won by 17 votes.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured anybody that won by 17 votes, I just didn't foresee him making a blunder like supporting Perez. I'm just being honest. I have not seen Perez since 2006.
That's right.
In person, not in Baltimore. I've not seen him in, a long time.
Let me tell you something, being on the Central Committee, knowing, DNC, I don't know if Perez was the chair of the DNC at the time when that's a long time. I don't know if Perez was the chair of the DNC when in 2018 when Ben Jealous didn't get any support out of the DNC or not. I'm not 100% sure. I'm thinking and leaning that he was, but some people say that they don't think he was. But the fact of the matter is that Perez was someone.
You can't win an election like Ben Jealous was trying to win. You have to be here. You can't do the hokey pokey with us.
Well, I agree with that. I understand that. And I know I saw you out there, Donnie. Oh,
I did not see Ben Jealous. I ain't seen Ben Jealous before or after.
Well, but who saw Hogan way before then when Ehrlich appointed him? Come on now. Come on, I'm talking about when he was appointed by Ehrlich. When he was a private citizen.
He was, and he formed a group called Change Maryland that had 300,000 followers.
Okay.
At least their Facebook page did. 300,000 followers. His group, his support group, was larger than. He had more followers than the TV stations.
So, okay, let me ask you this question.
I'm saying he prepared for it.
Okay.
That's
Well, we
all I'm
know
saying.
that we all know that there's such a thing called the O'Malley curse. We know that, right?
Is
We
it a
know Martin
curse?
O'Malley. Well, it's a fact. How about a fact? If you link, see, it's like this. It's like
I go for that.
Anthony Brown.
I go for that.
I'll go for it. So Anthony Brown, as a black man, as our parents told us, always be prepared, extra prepared. Whatever you go out there, you make sure you're the best of the best of the best. How do you lose that lesson? Just because you were with Martin doesn't mean that you're not supposed to still campaign to be governor. And not only that, but to put yourself a distance from him, to be your own man. He didn't do that in 2014. He was a last minute man. He just took it for granted.
He was still learning.
He was learning. I mean, I'm a military man, but you learn quick. You're supposed to learn quick. I'm retired military. So he's a military man. He's supposed to learn quick. He's supposed to know what he's dealing with. He had 8 years.
I believe
Did he have 8 years?
I believe he felt a certain loyalty to O'Malley. And you remember Cedric the Entertainer said, white people hope, but black people wish.
Okay.
Hope that you'll do the right thing, but black people wish you don't do the wrong thing. I wish you would.
Yeah, sure.
It's a different type of mentality. He was hoping that Martin O'Malley was going to be supportive.
He didn't support him.
He did not. And he learned that this time around.
Yeah,
but the insult, Danny, was the O'Malleys announcing 24 hours after he announced.
That's right.
Cruddy.
No. It's what Maryland and the United States is all about.
Hey, this Maryland. Hey, we
Maryland is close to the Macy-Dixie line as you can get, brother.
Yeah, but we setting a new trend. We helping them all to up their game. You ain't doing that foolishness in Maryland. Let me tell you something. If Baltimore and Prince George's are on the same page,
oh my goodness, you're right. You
will get run over.
You will get run over.
Nobody wanted to tell us that, but we done figured it out. But see, Baltimore PG and Baltimore County, and when I say Baltimore,
there you go. So
game over.
Let's go back to 2002 when the lawsuit was put in when Ken Oliver became the first African or minority person in Baltimore County to represent the 4th Councilmatic District. So with that being said, he had everything. He had the voting. He had the high medium income. He had the educated black folks. He had it all. But when he went and met with Jim Smith, and Jim Smith had a conversation with him, instead of him going in there demanding what he wants to see happen in his district.
I'm not gonna let you swing on my man Ken. You might as well.
No. I'm just speaking the truth. What I'm saying is that, Donnie, if you go in there, if you had all those things,
he's your first, and he's not even light skinned. Look, he had a fight for the first one in the door is often the light skinned or the palatable one. You know, someone who's not gonna, like Jackie Robinson, who's not gonna get upset when you throw a canister at his head out there in right field. That ain't me.
Or Martin Luther King.
Hey, I'm from North Avenue. Fair. You throw a rock at me, I throw a brick at you.
That's right.
And I ain't gonna miss.
That's right. What I'm saying, Donnie, if it was you, we decided we wanted you.
You trying to play Monday morning quarterback on Ken.
No. What I'm saying to you is that when you go in there and you speak with the county executive and you know what your worth is, you know you have everything, the golden goose and everything. That's all right. Let's just leave that alone.
You know the story of Denmark VC? Denmark VC led what would have been the most elaborate slave insurrection in the United States. down in Charleston, South Carolina. You ever heard of the Citadel?
Mm-hmm.
They built the Citadel because of Denmark Vesey. He was pulling together what would have been the most elaborate slave insurrection in the country, but he got snitched on. And so, yeah, you got Ken Oliver, but were the rest of the black people out Liberty Road of the same mindset, or were they slaves?
Well, there you
Here's
go.
a bigger question. Where are the black people of Liberty Road today? Are they free or are they slaves?
You know, Donnie,
I got a message. I got to just throw this in there. I got a message from out Liberty Road last night. Somebody bragging about some Asian dance spot, the Funky Crab or Crafty
Crab.
And they say black people lined up in there, the Asians on it. And I ain't knocking the Asians. I'm saying, you telling me all of them black people out there ain't no entrepreneurs that create?
It's shameful. It's shameful, Donnie. Not only do they have Crafty Crab, they have two places
that we are lined up.
And they lined up. And they got a third place out here called, used to be called Tom Tavern. The Pakistanis have that one. And they are lined up. The parking lot, you can't, it's
what's wrong with us, bruh? So we moved out to Liberty Road to be some slaves.
Well, the problem is that no one wants to work together. Nobody works together. It's a problem, Donnie.
But them Pakistanis working together on y'all. And you don't be careful.
Absolutely.
They're going to be your state senator. What's his name?
Who?
What's that one that got body slammed out there? But he had Ben Brooks.
You talking about, look, let me tell you something, but that's okay. Again, you talking about J.G. Lacey. He's over. History. He's done. Thank God Almighty. He's gone.
Why you say that?
Because, when you go for the Senate, you only get one shot at the apple. If he went for delegate, he would have been a sure delegate again. 100%. 100%. But the fact that he wanted to be the senator, he took a shot at it. And Kenny Brown made it very clear that if he runs for Senate, we got him. And he was right. I agreed with him. He only had one shot. So, I just all I can say is that he's gone. He's gone. But he's on the Central Committee. But he's on the Central Committee. I ran for the Central Committee. I was reelected. I'm on the Central Committee again. I was reelected. And he ran. Not only did he run,
I thought I had a rule that you couldn't run for both.
No, you can't hold both seats. So what he did, now think about it, he's in the major league. He's up there batting. He's up there with, the big boys.
Yeah, but he got one vote like everybody else on that state central. And from that position, so here's the thing. Same me in Baltimore City. We have to develop our bench.
Yep.
What's that young man that Dolores Kelly mentored, and then he tried to turn around and put the dagger in her back?
Rob Johnson. He didn't see you guys. He didn't put the dagger in her back.
Hold up.
Donnie, I live out here. He did not put the dagger in her back. She promised him.
That's what she said. That's the picture that they painted.
Well,
that they gave him money. Where you get his money from?
Well, he did. She did give him some money, but she also told him that she wasn't going to run again.
She did not tell the truth in that. She did run.
Well, there you go. Sure, she did, and that's the reason why everybody is looking at him as this person who went rogue on her. But he didn't. She told him she wasn't going to run again, and he would have been a great senator.
Yeah, but okay. Well, Signal became senator.
Well, Signal. Well, you do know the story on Signal, right? Well, of course, Signal on the Central Committee. Let's go back to 2019, 2020, when Shirley Nathan Pulliam got sick and decided to drop out as the senator in 44B. Of course, we know what happened there. Signal on the Central Committee. That's why we wrote it, and it's a conflict of interest because he had to vote for himself. And he wanted to become the senator. So he did go to Bishop Barry, said, Barry, if you support me for the senator, I'll support you for delegate. But Barry wasn't going for it because he knew he was in bed with you know some other folks that was supporting him, and so what happened was.
Who?
Uh,
Is it FBI? Is it CIA?
no, it's Senator Kelly. Senator Kelly is he's her surrogate. He's been a surrogate forever. Signor. He's been even though he's in
What's wrong with
44B.
being loyal to the people that brought you in the game?
That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. At that time, the 10th district was the whole district. Now it's 44B and all this, that, and the other. It's fine. It's fine.
All I want to say, Rob, somebody need to go get him and get him back involved. Scott Phillips, he ran into Dolores Kelly 20 years ago.
And he was dormant. He's been dormant ever since.
She put a triple jab on him, getting the whole uppercut.
And one of the really bad things is that when we put the unity ticket together, what Senator Kelly did, she says, "Look, this is the deal. You want me to endorse you, Ben Brooks? I'm bringing along Jennifer White. That's what I want."
Jennifer White got more votes than Scott.
Man, Scott's a lame duck. Scott got less votes than on the unity ticket. Of course, your agent got 12,000. Jennifer almost got 9,000 votes. Scott got just over 5.
And so again, Jennifer was Dolores's candidate.
No doubt about it.
So let me just say,
he was working in the back scenes for her, I believe. She definitely was.
Let me just say this. What is the first object of power? The first object of power is to maintain power.
She's been doing it forever. What she's doing is micromanaging everything from behind the scenes.
You're in a power position.
Mm-hmm.
The first object of power is to maintain power.
No doubt about it.
But the thing we forget, black, white, otherwise, it ain't yours. It was never yours. You've been entrusted
by the people.
To use that power to serve the people.
To make it better.
It was never yours, Martin O'Malley. It was never yours, Senator Kelly. It was never yours, Kurt Schmoke. You were put in position to be a public servant.
Why do 80% of these elected officials think it's all about them, Donnie? Why is it that once they are entrusted by the people, elected in office,
I have an answer.
Come incumbents over and over again, and then they forget about the people, and it's all about them, their agenda.
Ego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's mine. I'm the senator.
That's right. I'm the bully.
From the license tag to the parking spot to the name tag on the desk down at the General Assembly chamber.
To a private driver, got your own driver? Mm-hmm.
Some of them. So people get caught up.
They do.
Senator Bill Ferguson, who is now the Senate president, I remember when he was a delegate.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, I said, "You're a nice guy." Huh?
Yeah. No, you're right.
"You're a nice guy. Come out of education, very concerned about teachers." We had a candid offline conversation. And I asked him, "Will you change?" I'm here to tell you that from my interactions with Senator Bill Ferguson, he's remained much the same. I could be wrong, but I've seen him maintain the same demeanor. Izzy Patoka. I knew Izzy long before he ran for office. This is not a plug one way or the other. But he's been a steady person the whole time. Same guy. Dan Moreheim used to be delegate out there in the 11th. Physician, entrepreneur, author. This I know for sure.
But he also was involved with
same guy.
With some issues. Yeah, how about that?
Okay, that does not discount in my book all of the good that he did. I don't know the particulars Everybody trying to get some of that weed money.
You got that right. That's
But
right.
I don't turn my back on my friend. Long as they ain't a pedophile, hey, I'ma stick with you. That's my friend. Don't mess with Dan Mohan, because then I'm coming out there.
No, well, we just talking. When you talk about the whole story. Tell the whole story. So you got to tell the whole story. That's all I was saying. You missed that part. But go ahead.
Don't mess with Dan. All right, that's my dog. And we started off fighting.
But those would become your best friends.
It's my friend. I don't turn on my friends, Jack.
That's good. Yeah.
We didn't cover everything. I wanted to share this tidbit with you. Do you, because you're a really smart guy, do you know who the first Black elected official was in Maryland?
The first Black elected official. You know what? I just think that.
Thank you to my Dunbar poet, homegirl, India Bulger. You ain't gonna get this right.
No, I'm not gonna get it right. But
does anybody know the first Black elected official in Maryland history? Anybody?
Then I just saw it, Donnie.
I got $20 for anybody right now, and call me up 443. You got 19 minutes. 443-858-2684. The first Black elected official in Maryland. You got till 10 o'clock when this show goes off.
Yeah, I'm not going to do you wrong, Donnie. I'm not going to Google. I'm not going to do any of that, because I just saw you had it on the Black history. You just had it on there. You put it all on it. You went through the whole thing, but I can't think of the guy's name. I can't think of his name.
Well, I'll wait a minute. But it's a fascinating story. The year was 1641. This man was an indentured servant. He was the colonial Maryland legislature's only Black member. 1641. And he came here as an indentured servant. And this is what's important for me. And I didn't get into his name. It said indentured servant. White people were indentured servants. White people were slaves. In America, however, slavery and Black people seem to be somewhat synonymous for whatever reason. I want Black people to know that slavery has happened all over this world. When you look at the Slavic countries, that Slavic ain't just in there. Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, these are Slavic countries. They got a long history of slavery over there. The world is full of slavery. One group conquering another, whether it was the Britons, the Saxons, the Romans, the Ottoman Turks, Asia. People think all the Asians like each other. Now, I've seen some Asians get real jiggy on each other. China versus Japan, Korea, North Korea, South Korea. Then you got the Filipinos and the Vietnamese and Cambodians. We think we're the only people with some conflict. You know, that's why we got to get a passport and go travel and see that conflict is universal. I got a question for you. We sent $50 billion to the Ukraine. Why can't we spend $50 billion on the United States? Can you help me understand why we are over here signifying in somebody's business? We came up with $50 billion and just come up with another $40 billion. Why in the hell aren't we fixing our own country? Why are we signifying, and why is somebody making the Ukraine more important to me than the 54 countries in Africa? Because I ain't Russian. I'm African though.
Well, they want to keep us where we are, Donnie.
And I ain't supposed to have an opinion about it. I ain't forgive how they did the Haitians that came across the border, Danny.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Terrible, terrible thing. You know, it's unfortunate that we as a race ourselves, Americans, Black Americans, let's put it like that. Black Americans who are very influence, very rich. Why is it that we can't come together and do some things for ourselves, Donnie?
Why Michael Jordan ain't been body slammed and made somebody make him build a Jordan Center in Baltimore, New York?
Everywhere. Magic Johnson, let's call it out. Magic Johnson, Kanye West, Oprah Winfrey. She's doing something. Oprah Winfrey. All these we got rich billionaires. Multi 500 million. I mean, why is it that we can't come together? And that's the key right there, Donnie. We don't do that. And the white folks know that. So they say, well, look, they could do these things themselves, just like you talked about out here in Randallstown in this area. If we will pull together, we could do a whole lot more out here, but we don't. Everybody has egos. Everybody wants to be the king and the queen, and nobody wants to work together with one another. And so we got to scramble, man. We got to scramble.
You know what kills me? I hear black people say, oh, well, not all black people are homogenous. I want to see where them black people at who say that not all black people are homogenous.
Right.
I want to see where they are when them J6s start coming down the road with them ARs, got the helmet, got their tactical gear, and not all of these addicts in my neighborhood that don't come from my neighborhood. Talking about the ones with the military backpacks, the ones with those tactical boots on. Not all of them are crystal meth addicts. Not all of them are dope fiends.
Right.
Some of them might be part of an invasion army. You ain't got them in your neighborhood, do you? Why don't you come on down here to Santa and I'm going to show you some addicts.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. And Donnie, I love to come to Suntown. Matter of fact, I was going to buy a condominium in Sandtown when they was building those condos up there.
That's not Sandtown. That's Winchester.
When they call it Sandtown Winchester?
That's Winchester. That ain't Sandtown.
They don't call it Sandtown Winchester?
They call it that, but it ain't Sandtown.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah. So,
you live out there by Orange Mills Mall and people presume you live in one of them $300,000 houses. You might have an apartment off Righteoustown Road.
Yeah, that's right.
They different than them $300,000 houses.
Yeah, you're right about that. In New York,
off the prefabs and don't last through the winter.
Unless you got to go to an old community that I live in, Don. I live in an old community called Hernwood Heights. Old community. White folks wouldn't let Jews, blacks, nobody in it until they passed that law, the housing law in 1964, 62, whatever it was. And then they started allowing whites and Jews and blacks in here, but white folks wouldn't allow nobody in here other than white folks. But anyway, it's power.
No, that ain't no anyway. That is the topic of the day. That's every day. Racial segregation. Baltimore's history that goes back. Baltimore is the home of segregation.
Yes, it is.
Going back to 1907, Mayor J. Barry Mahoo
had a whole bunch of slaves in here in Baltimore, that's for sure.
But it was two black men that kept footing his ass. One was named George McMecken, and the other one's name was Ashby Hawkins. And they took turns hanging foot up his ass.
But that's what
he got himself together.
Yeah, Donnie.
He never did because they replicated the racial segregation policies here in Baltimore around the country. That's why we got all these dumb statues around.
Well, hopefully we continue to take them down because
that's one thing Kathy Pugh did do. I'll applaud her for that.
What's she doing now? Speaking of Catherine Pugh, what is she doing these days?
I see it started the Afro Gala, started the Afro Tea.
And
I like to see over Big Gaddy Center doing some give back because ain't nothing she can tell me for at least 5 years.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, damn thing.
I mean, those
ain't no smiling, ain't no
who's
cheesing.
Who's behind her? Jim Smith, O'Malley. What's the guy with the pest control company? All them cats, man. I mean, you go to bed with the devil. That's what happens.
Don't come back around me smiling. You screwed my city. You wasted our time. You betrayed the people's trust.
Yeah, and how about
Stephanie? Damn thing funny.
Nothing. How about Stephanie Rollins Blake when she took $10 million away from the Rexon Parks and did that Grand Prix racing.
Oh, the Grand Prix, you remember that?
Yeah.
I used to ride her like white on rice.
Yeah,
How
well,
about that?
that was the worst thing. And what happened? The rec
That's
centers
the man who
were
lost his
closed
city
for
with
since.
Freddie Gray.
That's right. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one when
She was never cut out for politics.
When Hogan came through your neighborhood, right? When Hogan came up
She
there,
was
huh?
never cut out for politics.
No,
See,
she went on the same. Look, Donnie, she went on the same thing that people have done in the past. That was my father. Put me in office.
you
Da da
can't
da
be
da da.
Mayor of
Don't work for everybody.
Baltimore because it's somebody else's passion. It has to be your
Well,
passion.
absolutely, absolutely.
Malcolm X, who lived and worked in your hometown, said that you can't serve the people if you don't love the people.
100%. And it was terrible, man.
I may never be mayor of New York City, but I tell you what, I will walk the streets of New York. I couldn't imagine. I mean, to walk down Lincoln Avenue over in Brooklyn, Nostrand Avenue, you got to walk the streets and get to know. When we did the Black Wall Street in Weeksville, man, you got to be on the ground. You got to feel the ground. You got to feel the people.
That's right.
You got to understand their plight. Eric Adams. Big ups to Eric Adams. We met him before he was mayor. We met him over at Brooklyn Borough Hall when he was Brooklyn Borough president.
Yes, he's a good man.
Like him or not, he put in the time on the ground.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And
where he getting them outfits from? He looked like Morpheus these days.
Man, don't he? I mean, he's walking around like he's showing up.
Well, the thing is, gotta stay humble. Kendrick Lamar says, "Stay humble."
Yeah, man. But Donnie, as you know and I know, things can be a whole lot better if we pull together as a race, as a community. You know, all you gotta do is pull together. You know, it's like you could do so much with a few people, but think about what you can do with a whole lot more. All these people with these egos and thinking about themselves, all about themselves.
I'm not going to get rid of the ego. You need an ego. Danny, you know, it takes a lot of heart for anyone to jump out there and run for office. It is not easy. And if you don't believe in yourself, there are enough elements out there to make you not believe in. Danny, have you seen the mental trauma that some people experience when they lose?
Oh my gosh. I have a friend. Do you know Danielle Smith? Daniel Winky Smith? You know Winky, right? You know Winky, what's his name? The Winkies in Baltimore. The Winkies?
I know a couple of Winkies.
Yeah, you know they were putting, but Travis Winky. Let's say Travis Winky. Okay. Well,
Travis Winky. Travis Winky used to come back to Lamel, him and Reverend Willie Ray. They were the only two that came back and gave a rat's bottom about us.
That's right.
I don't agree with nothing about them politically, but back then they came. They were the only ones that came.
Yeah, man. I tell you,
and I will always remember that.
Yeah, and now Danielle Winky Smith, her and I were on the Central Committee together. We got on there in 2018. She's a phenomenal woman. I mean, national level, state level, local level, grassroots.
You ever seen the Travis Winky fashion show?
Absolutely. That's right. I went there for the women, man. Shoot, if you want to check out some nice women, man, you go to Travis Winky's fashion show. Yes, indeed. Big time.
So what happened to this Winky lady?
Well, anyway, she was on the Central Committee with me, and they did some things, man, and she didn't get reelected. She was an incumbent just like myself, and she wasn't reelected. Her name is Danielle Smith, and she's done. I mean, you're supposed to safeguard the folks that you know are doing the work, and she wasn't safeguarded. And you know, she didn't make it. She didn't make it. And
I want to say to some of the people on State Central, it's not even a paid job. Some of these people take this thing a little too seriously. And I remember when State Central let the white guy, who's the white guy that took over Maya Cummings' campaign?
Oh yeah, the guy who used to be the guy Smith.
Like Daniel Boone, looked like a young version of Martin O'Malley.
His name is Smith. Ben Smith.
I remember And Rashawn Baker, not Rashawn Baker, what's the other one? Sherrod. Sherrod was in charge. And they let that young white guy come in there.
He took over the Central Committee, as you said, the City Central Committee.
He bet them black people over.
He sure did.
And the thing to get me, why do we want to fight each other? We want to prove ourselves to each other when this off-brand comes in the door and kick all of our ass.
Came in there and did it.
I couldn't believe Sherrod allowed that to happen.
And then look what he did. Like you said, he became the campaign manager for Myra Rockmore Cummings.
How do you let this off-brand come in and take your money? See, these cats can't fight. Floyd Mayweather, say what you want. You are not going in the ring and taking his lunch money. You never.
No, and he gonna walk out looking good. He ain't gonna get beat up. He don't get beat up. You know, he's a smart man.
You have the power and you let somebody come and take it from you, but you want to fight me.
Well, no, here's an example.
I enemy, dummy.
Right. Charles Signor is the senator for District 44B. It's a guy by the name of George White. He works with Kenny Smith. He's a photographer. You know George White, right? Kenny Brown's photographer for the Norfolk Voice.
George White.
He ran for the Central Committee 2022 for 44B. Charles Signor wouldn't even put him on his ticket. He put a white boy by the name of Ian Miller on there over George, and George lost the whole campaign. That's how you destroy communities. George is a man who has paid his time, did the hard work, did everything, and Signor turned his back on him.
Who is in charge?
20-year-old.
Who is the leader of a given state legislative district? It's the state senator. And apparently,
and that's who he is. That's right.
Apparently, George did not have a rapport that was good enough with Signor. They the rules.
George supported Signor 2014, 2018.
Well, maybe it wasn't George. Maybe it was somebody George had a relationship with.
Well,
that Signor didn't like.
But that is true. And it's I'm gonna tell you who it is. It was Bishop.
The first object of power is to maintain power. And
but
you don't give your loyal soldiers are black, white, or whatever. You would hope that they were black.
You have a conversation, Donnie. You don't give
up the community. Why did y'all have the conversation? Why didn't you work in a conversation, Danny?
Look, it didn't happen in my district. It happened in his district. But not only that, it only came out at the very last minute. Nobody knew. And then all of a sudden, here's the flyer.
Signor, then you need to get a candidate that will beat Signor.
Well, like I said, that's not in my district, but yes, that is the case. Well, that is the case. And do you know what's the name? McCaskill.
I remember the campaign.
She ran against
that was very disrespectful. She had Mark McClellan with her.
Very disrespectful.
That was the dude that came out there with flip-flops with them big ass toenails.
Oh, you should have seen him, man. Look the same way. But check this out. Signor put her on his ticket. He put her on a ticket so that she wouldn't run against him for senator. So he put her on the ticket along with a woman by. That's what he did. He took the plain playbook that Senator Kelly taught him, and he's using it now.
So why don't you run for state senator and you run it your way? I guarantee you will eventually employ the same methods. That's the game. Don't hate the game. Don't hate the players. Learn the game.
Look, let me tell you something. I know the game inside and out, backwards and forward. I do know the game. I'm not interested in those levels of the politics.
Well, they are.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that even as a community, is what I'm talking about. This is your community. You don't just give your community up, even if you got differences with somebody, have a discussion, say, you know what, we may have our differences, but let's come together with this because we can't give away our community like that. And that's what happened. The girl, Aisha Khan, almost beat McCaskill. McCaskill beat Aisha Khan by 400 votes. 400. And she almost won. Aisha Khan almost won. But what she did in the primary before they started counting the mail-in ballots, Aisha Khan had a party because she was winning after the primary, but they hadn't started counting the mail-in ballots yet. She had a party, and now her, Jalisi,
Turn off the lights.
the lights are off. And there's one last person that I want to talk about. It's the school in the Councilmanic District. Johnny O came into the community in the 10th Legislative District like a bully, opened up an office in Randallstown, and he brung in the 10th Legislative District, and he also brung in a Indian boy by the name of Samay Kendra. Samay Kendra is Johnny's surrogate. So he wanted to slam him down the throats of the people in the 4th Councilmanic District for the school board to represent our kids and our grandkids on the school board. This Indian kid who we put on the Central Committee for Diversity, and now he didn't want to run in his own district for the Central Committee.
I'm not understanding why Black people are trying to prove diversity.
Mm-hmm.
We are the most ostracized group in America. Why in the hell is it up to us to demonstrate diversity?
Well, these are folks that came in for an interview.
Tell somebody else that. I'm not demonstrating no damn diversity.
No. Well, let me tell you something.
Take that crap.
People got to come and run. You got to get candidates. You got to get candidates. And if we don't come in as candidates, that's the problem. That's the problem right there.
That's what we have to do.
Candidates is what we need, Johnny. Donnie, because think about it. We're doing what's called four more Baltimore County districts. So making it from 7 to 11. Well, if you do get those 4 additional more districts, you need people to run for office that look like us.
Well, you better get a bench because Hip Hop Fried Chicken and them other people that don't look like y'all are selling y'all that fried chicken with sugar on it. So
they ain't selling it to me.
They put sugar on the fried chicken and Black people talking about, oh, it's so good, it's so good.
Oh, it's terrible, Donnie. I'm with you with that, man. I don't go to none of those places. I don't go to Crafty Crab.
We put them out of fried chicken now. They frying our chicken, chicharines.
And they put some crap on there that's going to cause your cholesterol to go up, your blood pressure to go up.
Keep on eating that sugar fried chicken.
That's what I'm saying, Donnie. And
it's gotta go, man.
Hey, look, man. I appreciate you, Donnie. When are you going to come on the show, man?
Whenever you invite me.
I invited you last time we were on the show here together, but I'm gonna invite you again, man.
I have nothing on. Hey,
okay, look,
okay. Let me know. I put it in the calendar.
Next Thursday.
Stay organized.
Yes, Donnie. I appreciate you, man.
I like this shirt, man. Look like it's about time you've just given on up. I'll take it off of you.
Okay, I appreciate it, Donnie. But you got to, I'm bigger than you, Donnie. It's just going to make you look like.
That's what I'm saying. Look a little tight on you. About time to give it up.
Well, I got a little something. I don't know what it is. But look, Donnie, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your friendship, man, your dialogue, what you do for the community, man. Keep me involved, man. Yeah, what we do, exactly, man. Coming from the streets, man. I come from the asphalt jungle, Brooklyn, man. Bed-Stuy. White folks want to change Bed-Stuy to Stuyvesant Heights. They don't want to have part of us of history.
We didn't want to buy those properties in Brooklyn.
Wouldn't do it, man. We
didn't want to buy the properties in Harlem. We didn't want to buy the properties in Sandtown.
Oh my God, you're right. And that reminded me of
Long Island. We want to move to Randallstown.
Oh, you're right. You got a point.
We said to hell with them people down there by University of Maryland and the Black developer from New York, Lassiter, and all of that crap. We don't want to live down there. You dating an old, nice, upwardly mobile, educated Black woman. I don't want to live in no Sandtown. I want to live in Owens Mills. Take your ass on out there. On my arm and my leg mills. We got to go, Danny.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Have a great day, Donnie.
Great weekend, everybody.